back to chapter T. All right, page 2. COVID. Catch flights, not COVID. Or you could be like me and catch both, but let's hope not, okay? Anyway, before we get into all that and my journey testing positive, I want to go ahead and share my sneak peek of my project I'm working on with you guys. I'm launching a brand, if you will, called God's Special Project. I'll get into the name and what the name means to me in another episode. It'll probably be the next page or so. But yeah, you can pretty much just grasp what it is. Like, God's not done working with me, as he's not done working with plenty of you. You know, some projects are finished, some projects take more work. Like the special projects, I'll take a little bit more work. Anyway, getting into the COVID, we're gonna get into that. We also have, I have some lippy today. So there's this lip gloss that I swear by. A great friend of mine, she's like a big sister, Miss April. She launched her own lip gloss over the summer. She launched her own lip gloss company called Enchanted Beauty. And it's bomb. I promise you it's bomb. I'm not gonna put it on our camera. I'm gonna do it back here, okay? But yeah, so we can just jump into the COVID story. I know many of you are eager to hear about this one. All right, so for those of you who don't know or didn't know, I happened to test positive about 2 months ago for COVID. And it was no surprise to me because I've done a ton of traveling, right? So I went on like 3 different trips. So it's 3 different flights, of course. Big shock. I caught COVID. Don't get me wrong. I am not making light of this disease and illness at all because I do understand 100% how serious this is. Many people have died from it. Nearly 200,000, over 200,000 Americans have lost the battle with COVID, including my Uncle Damon. Rest in peace, Uncle Damon. But according to the CDC, nearly 7 million Americans have tested positive for COVID. And I'm one of them. So the people who do know had plenty of questions. What were my symptoms? What's the hardest part? What's your recovery like? So I'm just run down a little story for you guys pretty much and try to answer all of that at once. If you have any additional questions about my experience relating to COVID, then just drop them down below and I'll try to answer them when I can. But basically, so mid-July and July, I went to visit my cousin and my best friend, Georgia and Alabama. Shout out to Janae and Jerica. I went to go visit them. And while I was down there, I ended up getting COVID because when I got back, I tested positive for it. What symptoms did I have? What made me go test? So I get off the flight. It's Tuesday. I return back to Michigan. Crazy of me. I have like 4 days to get out of my apartment now. I return on Tuesday. And I gotta be out of my town home by like Saturday. Don't ask. I don't make the best decisions always. But nevertheless, boom, it's Tuesday. I come in, I get off the plane, I got a sore throat. I'm thinking, well, the air was on the plane and I fell asleep. You know how it is when you wake up from the air conditioner and sometimes like your throat's a little scratchy. So I'm like, okay, it was just a little cold and that's it. Don't mind me, I always self-medicate with Slurpees because in my mind, somewhere, I'm a rational thinker and I feel like the frozen drinks soothe my throat. Don't ask. I'm no doctor, I'm just a teacher, all right? So with that being said, I always grab a Slurpee if I have a sore throat and try to work with it that way. Stupid, I know. Once the Slurpee didn't work, I'm like, hold up, something's not right, okay? And so the Slurpee didn't work. Now my nose is running. So I got the sore throat, I got a runny nose, and then the next morning I develop a cough. Boom. So I'm like, man, I hope it's just a regular cold. Of course, if your elbow itches nowadays, you're gonna think it's COVID. And again, I'm not making light of COVID at all. This is just my experience. So I'm like, man, something's weird. So then I develop a headache. I don't typically get headaches. I probably get like 1 headache a year or every 2 years. Like, headaches are not for me. So when I get a headache, I know it's strange. I have a headache, I have a cough, I have runny nose, and a sore throat. So something's up. And not to mention, we're still moving. So my family and I are moving, and I'm trying to carry dressers down the stairs and such. And single life. Actually, not even that, because D'Angelo came through and helped me out a lot. But we'll get into that. But yeah. So moving, I felt so weak, like weaker than usual. Like I just felt fatigued. I'm experiencing shortness of breath at this point now, and I'm like, something's not right. So then the next day, it's Thursday now. Thursday, I'm dead to the world. I'm laying on the floor like, my mom's like, come on, we're gonna go get tested. They have a rapid testing in Detroit. We go there. So my mom gets tested with me because she doesn't let me do hard things by myself, because my mom's like my #1 supporter. So she gets tested with me, and of course I get a call back within like an hour and a half, and they're like, yeah, you test positive for COVID and such and such. And I'm boo-hooing at this point. I'm crying, and I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, you need to quarantine. Surprisingly, it said 10 days. They didn't even tell me 14, but I know 14 is all across the board, so I quarantined for 14 days. But with that being said, I'm crying. I'm super emotional. I can't believe it. But I'm more upset with myself because I felt like I could have avoided it in a sense. I'll get into that part later. But yeah, so I tested positive. My mom tested negative. The test itself was kind of uncomfortable. It wasn't as painful as everybody hyped it up to be, in my opinion. But sticking a long swab up my nose, and I'm already the queen of noses, so like sticking a swab up my nose was not comfortable at all. So actually, my aunt, one of my mom's sisters, made me some tea to help me. This tea was like a miracle tea that helped my other uncles. I had like several uncles and several cousins test positive earlier in the pandemic, and now it's my turn, mid-ish, end of July. So yeah, I test positive. I called my townhome and I'm like, hey, can I stay here for like 2 weeks? I tested positive. I can provide documentation. They were very accommodating. I'm like, yeah, if you need to, go ahead, just don't leave the place and don't touch any doorknobs. I'm like, okay, cool. But my mom was not having it. My mom's not leaving her baby in a townhome by herself. And my mom had just got a new place with a finished basement, big, nice basement, own bathroom, etc. So she's like, you're just going to go in the basement and quarantine. I'm not leaving you in this house alone. So, I mean, honestly, I'm not sure if I could have made it through this without my family and their support, because they fed me. They kept me motivated. My sister would come to the stairs and talk to me. If I got too close to the steps, she'd run, though, as if I could just throw it on her. But whatever. My granddad would stay down there with me at times, and, they'd bring me my food and check up on me, take my temp, deliver medicine. My best friend lives in a whole nother state. She would Amazon me some vitamins and stuff like. So I had the support. I had all the essentials I needed. I had the medicine and everything. But the toughest part about my experience with COVID, the hardest part for me wasn't even having it. The hardest part wasn't testing positive. The hardest part was knowing that I have exposed my loved ones to it because of my negligence to be super responsible. So yeah, like knowing that I've been around my dad, who's high risk, my sister has like asthma, so she's high risk. So knowing that I was around all these people that I love dearly, who didn't go live their life in Atlanta and Alabama 3 days ago. So knowing that like I'm bringing stuff home to them was hard for me within itself. That was truly the hardest part, exposing my family to it. And then making the call like, hey, yeah, you guys gotta go get tested. I just left from down here with you all, and I come back and I test positive. And go take your kids to get tested too. It's just an odd feeling. Like, I wouldn't want anybody else to have it due to my negligence. And I do consider it negligent because if I could pinpoint anywhere that I got it from, it would be this one club I went to with my cousins in Alabama. Of course, clubbing in a different state, hot spots and all. I was being negligent and a bit irresponsible, but if I had to pinpoint, it would be this club. They weren't as strict as we are here in Michigan. Michigan, you know, you can't go anywhere without a mask. There, everybody in there was without a mask, so I probably got it there. Nevertheless, recovery, I took some medicine. I had to continue to drink a lot of fluids because I also had, like, I lost my sense of appetite and my sense of smell. So, like, they were forcing me to eat at this point. And I know a lot of people who had COVID, they also had, like, a lack of appetite. And, yeah, so just staying medicated, continuing to check my temp, make sure it was going down. Definitely fluids because I could not have enough fluids. But, yeah, and as far as prevention of my negligence, if I had to do everything over again, if I decided to get on an airplane during the pandemic again, I'll take more gloves with me, more hand sanitizer with me. I won't leave anywhere without a mask just because it's in a car. You know, I won't go into these places. There was no social distancing in this club. I won't say the name, but, like, there's no social distancing and no mask. I should have never went inside, no matter how fun it was, you know. So I did have a great time, though. But I shouldn't have went inside. I should have made a better decision and been more responsible. So, yeah, if you can prevent it, then do so. Be more careful. Don't get comfortable like I did. I got super comfortable. And don't get me wrong, I never took COVID as a joke. I was never one of the people who was like, oh, it's a hoax and yada yada. I believed it, especially I lost my uncle at the beginning of COVID, you know. So I wholeheartedly believed COVID, and I was aware of the seriousness of it. But I guess 6-7 months in, I just got super comfortable, and I stopped wearing my mask as much, and stopped carrying hand sanitizer as much, and touched things with my hands, and yeah. So if I were you, make better decisions. Don't do what I did. Catch flights, but don't catch the COVID. Yeah, so just take more preventative measures than I did, and do not expose any of your loved ones to it once you get it. So yeah, that was it for the COVID Chronicles. But from my last video, we're gonna do this quick little story time. My last video, I promised to let you guys know what animal I told the guy I would be. For you guys who didn't watch the last video, let me just run it down for you. I put a question and said, what animal would you be? And then it made me think back to this job interview I had at a restaurant. And the guy asked me what animal would I be? And I gave the craziest answer. You guys ready for the answer? I looked this man in his face, sat across from him, and I told that man I would be a giraffe. So now, I'm at this interview, and I just told this man I want to be a giraffe, and he's like, why would you want to be a giraffe? And now I have to come up with a crazy answer why I would want to be a crazy animal. So I'm like, well, I mean, giraffes are tall, which can make them observant, and in the workplace, you need to be observant. And at that point, I knew I didn't get the job, but I had to just, you know, I had to be consistent. I had already given my answer. I had to stick with it. So now I'm making up stuff about giraffes and telling them how amazing giraffes are and the talents that giraffes can have. And yeah, I didn't get a call back. I don't think I got emailed, and I never ate at that restaurant again. So it was fine. But yeah, so also, one last thing. Shout out to me and you all, because we have reached 100 likes on Facebook, and I have over 50 subscribers on YouTube now. So please continue to share, comment, like, and subscribe, guys. You guys are really making me happy, and you guys are making me feel like this channel, like, I used to be so hesitant about starting it, but you guys are making me feel like I should have been done it. Like, you guys are being so supportive and amazing, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. So I definitely sweat out my hair. You guys could literally hear how nervous I was speaking on this. This is such a important and sensitive subject for me because it's the scariest thing I've ever been through. Guys, do better than I did. Even if you don't wear the mask for yourself, even if you don't social distance for your own health, do it for the ones you love. Because exposing your loved ones to something because of your negligence doesn't feel good at all. And one last special shout out and thank you to all those people who were there for me when I did have COVID. Whether it was a call, whether you helped my mom move all my stuff out, whether you sent food to me, or, you know, whether you were just there. Thank you. Be safe, guys.